but firstly, we're going to talk AFLW because round one kicked off and it was a good start. It was a good middle, but it was a very, very good end. And this, Pat, is how our Geelong Cats women's finished off an absolute thriller.
She will have to give this everything she's got. Cats need some numbers on the line to make sure it doesn't go through for a rush behind. Prasparkas steps up and buries it.
Young gun Georgie Prasparkas in the long sleeves with the blue mouth guard in, stepped up to the plate and kicked the game winner for the Cats, Pat. What about that?
Yeah, it was brilliant, Gronk. And I don't want to give too much of my my gold away on the pod today because the AFLW podcast should just be about out now, reviewing round one. There were some terrific performances.
Oh, you actually got to that. I thought that was just you running your mouth.
No, there was none better than Georgie. And because of the moment, a minute 30 or whatever it was on the clock, kicks the goal, hadn't kicked a goal in AFLW, kicks 2 goals, finishes with 16 touches.
Should she have had the kick?
McDonald. What's that?
Should she have had the kick in the first place?
Yeah, 3 was there. Downfield to the same player? Well, you could argue potentially not.
You don't.
But there wasn't a lot of players in the vicinity, Gronk.
Oh, Pat. Oh, the blue and white hoops are coming out in you there. But it was a fantastic round one. The grand final rematch was a cracker with the D's getting over the Crows over there in South Australia. Daisy Pearce just kicked a nice snap, nice left foot snap in that one. That was a really good game. Carlton Collingwood kicked things off, and Essendon Hawthorn. Now I'm keen to talk to you about this one, Pat. So 2 new teams. Was scheduled to be, I believe, at Port Melbourne Oval, which is a fine venue. They decided, and both clubs pushed really hard to move the game. They decided to move the game to Marvel Stadium. There were 12,000 in the house. What was the go there? Why the need to move?
Well, the capacity at the other venue was 6,000.
Yes.
So the decision was on the back of that.
Is that low?
Well, that's what my field research leads me to believe.
Fine.
Josh, I view it this way. Now, from all reports, the atmosphere there was phenomenal, amazing.
At Marvel?
But I would prefer to pack out local.
Thank you. Keep going. No, you can keep going now. Keep going.
I would prefer to pack out smaller venues and have that feeling of just everyone on top of you rather than these cavernous big stadiums. But the caveat to that is,
yes,
and the beauty of Marvel is you're playing in a controlled environment. And what we saw was the highest scoring AFL debut between teams. So of any new teams entering the competition, this was the highest scoring. And no doubt Marvel plays a part in that. The challenge with Marvel quite clearly are the economics around it because of how expensive it is to set up. Now, the AFL owns it, yes, but it doesn't mean that running costs of it, cleaning the facilities is one of the biggest challenges with all these major stadia. That part is a real checks and balances. And that's something to be, seriously considered. And it does need, some work. So it's not a, I would still prefer, Princess Park for mine is the ideal venue. There's some great venues in South Australia because of the history of the SANFL quite clearly. What we're seeing with these new facilities that clubs are building are sort of boutique sort of seating setups, which I think is great. Whitten Oval will be terrific. Punt Road, a redevelopment there is needed and could be a wonderful home of AFLW given its location. So I see that as being the ideal pathway moving forward. Yeah,
I'm with you. I would rather, and you did as well. I played as an Adelaide Crow. I played in a 3/4 empty MCG. I played in a half empty Marvel Stadium. I would much rather play at a small boutique venue that's full rather than venues that are half empty or 3/4 empty. But but I would probably prefer the AFL the elite facilities. That is the difference as well. So you go and play at Windy Hill or Port Melbourne Oval or wherever, you don't necessarily get access to the elite facility. So there's give and take on both sides.
No, so you're exactly right. So you've got the girls warming up in, to be frank, pretty crap facilities for an elite sporting organisation. And of course you'd rather, play, you'd rather really decent facilities, great change room, showers, etc., all that sort of stuff. So you're not getting that. And that's where I think the investment, over the next few years is going to be critical to the right infrastructure.
Yep.
So all of the venues that the girls play at are really well set up.
Well, I look forward to the AFLW pod. Are we allowed to know? Have you got a co-host? Are you? What's?
My wife's kicking it off with me at the start.
Ooh.
Yeah, Mards. We watch. We have every single game of AFLW that runs throughout the week or on the weekend. Mards does not miss a thing. Good. So, going to kick off with Mards, which will be interesting because God knows what the kids are going to be doing. But it was a cracking round one. There's so much to digest. You can see just how much the competition has improved. Fremantle under huge pressure. They had 25 players to come into the competition to select from for round one. They're like West Coast in the men's competition. They could blow their season up early.
Devastated.
Simply because they don't have the availability. So they're in a really challenging situation. Melbourne, I think, will be they're the team to beat. Brisbane solidified their, credentials around being a real big challenger, as did Adelaide. They didn't lose any fans. I didn't think they played their best footy, but I'm not sure do they have the next gear, given the fact that Aaron Phillips goes out and a few others.
Well, let's find out on the AFLW podcast, shall we?